Please let me in.
The world ended. Didn't you get the memo?
You said it.
Come on, guys. Let's go for a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
So fetch. What is fetch? Oh, it's like slang from England.
I'm Charlotte Blackwood.
I'm Maverick.
Maverick? Does your mother not like you or something?
Chunk is dead. Don't say that. Never say that. Goonies never say die.
It's the Al Travis Show. Love our next guest. He's Senator Aric Putnam out of St. Cloud area. Senator, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, dude, how you doing? I'm doing pretty well.
I'm doing well. I got some stuff sticking out my craw. We'll get to that in a minute. We have other business to discuss first. I'm trying to make humans out of all you representatives and senators. So my first random question for you, sir. Last photo you took on your phone. Do you know?
Oh, man, this is going to sound pretentious and jerkish, but it's absolutely 100% true. Well, first, I appreciate you trying to make humans out of us, and I'm also going to appreciate how difficult that is. No, so actually last night, actually this is a good thing for me to talk about. Last night, Ted Matthews, who's been a phenomenal, dedicated dude to Minnesota agriculture for years. He's the guy who basically invented mental health for farmers. Incredible human being. Had a big event for him in Hinckley last night. So I was up there to give a speech, and then afterwards, I took a bunch of pictures with my pal Ted. He's a great dude.
Nice. Okay, that's a good one. See, that just shows what you do. And Hinckley Grand Casino, do you play any? You a slot guy?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Fair enough.
How long I was there?
All right.
Actually, I did. I was. It was late, and I was in a hurry, and I was tired, so I didn't stick around very long. But I will say that there are other prominent figures in agriculture who spent a fair amount of time at slots.
Partaking of the entertainment. There's nothing wrong with that. The other thing, and I think I'm seeing this different than most because I'm getting kind of tired of actually seeing the photo now. Have you seen the photo of Senator Hoffman coming out of the IC unit with his little suitcase? Did you see that?
I have, yeah. I think it's interesting to see how that photo's getting a lot of play all over.
Well, and I get it, and everybody's happy for him, and I am. And he's got that John look in his eye, so, I mean, he's, he got a little thumbs up thing. This is where it goes wrong for me, Senator. I look at that photo and think to myself, where in the heck's a wheelchair? Name another hospital you're allowed to walk out, let alone drag your own suitcase behind you. Could somebody not pick up his suitcase? Could somebody not carry it for him? Why does he not have a wheelchair and being pushed to the next place? Everybody else does.
I say this with love. I could see John being like, hey, look at what a badass I am. So I got no qualms with that at all whatsoever. Because I think 2 seconds later he was in a wheelchair.
See, but I think I'm that bad guy too. And I thought, what was it, Messman and Mankato? I was getting my colonoscopy, right?
Yeah.
Get it all done. The woman is going to push me out the door. And I said, I can walk. She goes, get in the chair. It's the rule. And I got in the chair. She's like, Nurse Cratchit or something. I just thought it was funny. It was like, why does he have to, and why is he carrying his own suitcase? Really? The guy got shot. We don't have somebody who could help him out?
It was probably full of cigars and he didn't trust anyone else to carry it.
Fair enough. I'm happy for my friend. The news is that he thinks he'll be back on the show Monday.
Oh,
I'm not holding
really?
him to it. Yeah, I was going around with him on Sunday about this Monday. He goes, I don't know if I'm there. Next Monday for sure. And I said, you just let me know what time. But I think he's going to be back on Monday. So we're happy for him. But I make fun. And I will make fun of him because you know what he looks like? And I don't know if you ever watched The Jerk, Steve Martin, when he stands outside his farm and he's trying to get a lift and he's there all day long with his thumb up. That's what he looked like.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
So anyway,
and that's pretty funny to see John that way. Well, if he's going to be on your show, I might actually have to listen to it.
Okay, that hurt. But that's okay. I can appreciate the hurt. Thank you for playing our game. Let me ask one weird question that I have today before we get to the meat and potatoes, before we go to the first commercial. The governor, Walz, was asked to go to U.S. Congress, and I got it written down, Oversight Committee, right? They asked him to come and talk about theft and that sort of thing. So he goes, and I think that's great. I mean, I think it was a two-way street. One, it's great publicity for a guy who may want to run for president. I don't have a problem with him going. And it's the other side also saying, hey, look what you guys ran here. So I get the politics behind having Walz do this. It is also the state with the biggest fraud that ever happened. But all that being said, the governor gets a group of lawyers to help him, prep for it. $430,000. Minnesotans have to pick the tab because it was outside lawyers, outside the state. What? Why? Why am I paying for that? Why? What is he going outside the state? Do we not have lawyers in the state of Minnesota that we pay on staff?
I think there's a couple.
Okay.
So I would say like the first thing. So he's there doing his official duties. That's sort of part of the gig is that we're going to have to. I'm sure we paid for the plane ticket too, and that's kind of a thing. But your point about lawyers is important too, because you and I could have done it for $20 a piece. And I do not see in a world that, obviously both of us are very skilled attorneys with deep knowledge of how these things work, but I still don't think there's a $998,000 difference between what they can do and what we can do. There's got to be someone. I'm not saying like get a discount, like get a lawyer from the bin lawyer. Like I'm like the lawyer bin. I'm not saying you need like a generic lawyer somewhere, but it does seem like a big expense.
And I get Keith Ellison's office is another office, right? He doesn't quote unquote work for Walls, but he's got a whole mess of lawyers under him. You can't say, hey, between us, I don't want to spend $500,000 of the people's money. Can I get a couple hours of your guys' time? Here's what we're going to talk about. Help me through it. Don't we do that amongst offices in the state? We have an entire legal department.
We do, and the governor's office has its own attorneys too. So what I'm guessing is that these are people with. What I'm hoping is that these are folks with a specific expertise in a particular area of law, or I don't know. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to understand it. So I don't really know, I guess, is the answer.
And this is probably way illegal, but I wish it would happen. So the University of Minnesota, you've heard of them?
Yeah, rumors.
Yeah,
heard of rumors.
They have a law school, pretty well-ranked law school is what I hear, pretty good law school. What if the University of Minnesota said, hey, to the governor, as long as we let you use our president's home, he's living on campus, for God's sakes. How about we have a meeting with you? All our lawyer guys will get together. We'll help you out a little bit. Pro bono, just to help, because we're trying to get $500 million from you in the next biennium. Little kiss-up action from the University of Minnesota. Save us $500,000.
Maybe that would work.
I know there's got to cross a lot of lines, but at least it's honestly crossing a line. We'll help you out. We're coming back for $500 million next year. You're living on campus with us anyway. Let's have a meeting. Boom.
Well, I hadn't thought about him living on campus that way before. Do you think he's staying up late doing panty raids and the whole thing? The weirdest expense that's gone up since he's living at the president's house is toilet paper. Little unbeknownst to people, the governor loves TPing frat houses on weekends. That's his gig. People don't know it, but it's a true story. I would actually love that. I would think that was pretty awesome.
He says it just lets him blow off steam. You work the week, you're very upset, you go out and you TP a good old dorm, and you feel much better about yourself. That's his way.
The real issue is we're spending tax dollars on Busch Light and ramen. That's the real big issue.
The keg bill is way up at the president's house. We got to go to break. We'll be back after this. We'll talk some more stuff. I've got him, Senator Aric Putnam, on the program.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Everybody knows you have to have a guy in the auto repair business. If you want a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop. I don't know. Ask him. Jay's Auto Shop's locally and veteran-owned. Paul's your guy in the car business. He'll fix just what needs fixing, make sure it's done right, and at a fair price. You want to know your car's being taken care of, take it to Paul at Jay's Auto Shop. 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 507-525-1052. 507-525-1052.
You don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
I think the reason I like Senator Aric Putnam is he'll tell me when I'm wrong, but he agrees with me more often than not because it's common sense stuff. The next one, Senator, if I may. The fraud group, the Prevention State Agency Oversight Committee that they set up, you recall that this last session when everything was tied, we got to have this group say we're going to look into fraud.
You're talking about the House committee?
Yes. They had a meeting yesterday, and they had the Department of Human Services folks in to chat. Now, this is this thing where it was Senator Gustafson, right? Put this great bill together. We want to set up independent officers of Inspector General and yada, yada, and we couldn't get that done. You know why? Because fraud's a beautiful thing. She gets up, this guy's talking about it. Minnesota Department of Human Services does $18.5 billion in Medicaid dollars, which they know 2.2% rate is improper payments. First question, Senator. How do you know how many improper payments you've got? 2.2% seems kind of particular. If you know you're doing them wrong, stop. Moving on. Monday said the improper payment rate does not equal the number of persecuted rates. About 100 people are prosecuted a year for Medicare fraud. There are 40 people overseeing it, so each get about 2.5 people they prosecute. There are almost 1,000 investigations underway at any given time. He's saying straight up, we don't have enough people to go after the bad guys. Doesn't that just scream, put it in one place where we can find it? 2.2%, by the way, do the math. It's a little bit over $370 million a year in Minnesota alone, Medicaid fraud. That we know of. Was there a question in there?
I'll find one anyway. I think that so first off, the Office of Inspector General bill, I was a co-author on that.
Yeah.
It was your guys who killed it because it was
well, no, and I back it. I'm not happy. You're right. I'm not happy. We're backing on this program big time. We need to make this happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
Good.
And I do too. So and again, that's why I was co-author. But there was this that's just growing government, and it's going to. Well, if you want government to do stuff, you got to give it the resources to do stuff. Just don't give it too much. I mean, if you want your mail delivered, you got to pay your post guy, right? That's
Agreed.
one of the basic issues I've got, and that's what the Inspector General office I think would have helped with. And so I don't really dig that argument. The other thing I'm curious about in the way this is phrased, because as always, you're my only source of news. Mostly
Sad,
because
but
I
true.
can't read. It's mostly because I can't read. But the use of the word improper is interesting to me, because does that mean people being sneaky, or does it mean goof ups? And in my world, 99% of the stuff that goes south is because people are incompetent, not because they're evil. And when we talk about fraud, we got bad people, a couple bad people stealing from all of us. That's the key way of thinking about it. It's not just the government screwing up, because no one's complicit. It's just we got some bad people stealing from us, and some people who oftentimes just make goofs. So I'm not quite sure what the math works out as. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does say improper payments. It doesn't say that means we send them to people who weren't supposed to get it or we screwed up. That's an interesting point. I'll just share this. I don't know if my mom would care. So my dad passes, and we're trying to get the Social Security stuff figured out. So we instantly called Social Security, mailed in a death certificate, actually called the local office, said, okay, everything's set. And then the letters start coming from Social Security. It is the most convoluted mess ever. Long story short, my mother will get my dad's Social Security number because it's higher. They don't make her take the lower one, so she gets the higher one. Social Security will pay you a check, let's say in July. That is your June payment. So he died June 18th, so he owed half a month because he didn't live through the whole month. So he owes half a month. So they take half of my mother's check, her check gone, take dad's check. He owes half a check, by the way. Oh, by the way, Mom, you owe the Social Security Administration $600.
Oh, no.
What? My mom's panicked. I run over there. I don't know how many hours on the phone, and we go through it and back and forth. They'll take it out in payments. It's going to be fine, but it's like the most convoluted thing of all time. Could there be improper payments? I could see people at Social Security office just hearing my own mom crying and saying, what are you talking about? How do I owe you $600? My husband died, and just saying, forget it, ma'am. I won't push the button. I can see them doing it, and I wouldn't hate them for it. My mother's gone through heck just to and she did the right thing. The next day, we sent the death certificate off. We wanted to make sure it was done. But they pay forward for what happened before, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, I don't the improper payments thing is, my point is, if you know it's 2.2%, you know what's going on, there has to be a way of stopping it. You put a label on 2.2. We go every year, we look, we send these many out, we don't put the right zeros in. Fix it. If you don't have the people, tell Aric how, and we'll get them the people. Is that wrong?
No, and that's the part that frustrates me a lot about this, and like you're humanizing it in a way which I think is really important. Like it's not just a clerical error. Like people, when you're making some of these negotiations with the government, it's when you're least able to, and that's the part that frustrates me. That's the part that bumps me out too, is when people have uncertainty to government when they're engaged. We might stop, like make some bad decisions here, good decisions there, but we should at least be reliable. And it's frustrating me with these positions. And like, I'm trying to navigate this crazy horse just no permit. That's not cool.
Yeah, I get it. I guess my hope is at some point between you and I, and we get down the road far enough, when we see things like, oh, there was a mistake, our first thought will be, oh, someone just messed up, we'll fix it. It isn't someone stole from us. You know what I'm saying? That is somebody who didn't get lazy. Right now, every time you read a $300 million Medicaid problem, you just feel someone stole from you. Why is that our default? Because we've kind of been trained that way in the last 10 years, would you say? Doesn't matter what can
you hear me?
You're coming in and out. I got you right now, so yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I mean, I think the real key takeaway here is that since you and I are accomplished attorneys, I think that maybe we should step in and do some auditing.
I don't know that would hurt us as much. I think the Aric and Al promotions company will come up with a good name. I think we got to get on Walls' list, because if he's going to make $430, give somebody $430,000, you and I could do it for $100,000 each. The state saves half the money, and let's be honest, good or not, how are they going to rate us? How do you rate that?
Right. I mean, so maybe we're like a C- or a 1 star, but 1 star is better than no stars.
And it saves the state money. You and I get rich. I've got to find more ways of doing that, because whatever this company was that had Walls' attention and made $430,000 for how many meetings to prep you to go to the U.S. Congress, and that would be tough, don't get me wrong, but my advice would be don't lie, because you can get in trouble. So just tell the truth. Where's my check? I got to fly, Aric. We're out of time. Senator Aric Putnam on the Al Travis Show. More right after this.